Oh, hey fellas. I got a new kit that I've started. It is the Verlinden M113. This was sent to me by a customer that I normally build planes for. And I'm not sure how old the kit is. I don't know much about it. And I haven't really built too much armor in the past. I think I've built two of them. An M1A1 and a Sherman, I think. So not only do I have a little experience with armor, but this kit is all resin. So this is going to be a whole new experience for me. I mean, I've worked with a little bit of resin, but this kit is all resin and poses a lot of challenges. There's a lot of photo etch. Let me show you what I got. I'm getting ready to paint the interior. I've got the interior parts done. So this is the interior. One thing I've found with resin, when you get big pieces like these, like the side, they were all warped coming out of the box. And I guess that happens with resin a lot. So I had to use a heat gun, and instead of putting it in boiling water, I've got a heat gun. So I just used a heat gun to try to get them back into shape as best I could. Once you, and they don't have to be completely 100% perfect, because once you glue them down, it takes some of the warpage out of it, but you still got to get it pretty close. And some of these parts were warped pretty bad. And unlike plastic model kits, if you've never built a resin kit, unlike plastic model kits, there aren't too many, there are very few, if any, like locating tabs or locating notches. You just kind of got to go by the directions. And unfortunately with this kit, the directions right here are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages long, and they're not very good at showing you exactly where stuff goes. So you got to get a lot of reference pictures. I mean, other than that, the detail's pretty good. And there's a lot of scratch building that needs to be done with it. I wouldn't say a lot, but you know, some of the parts they don't supply you with, that they tell you to make with a rod and whatever. So I've been using brass tubing, plastic tubing. Fortunately, I got a lot of scratch building materials, so that's not an issue. But I figured I'd do a video on this. There aren't too many videos out there, if any, on the 1/15 scale Verlinden M113, so I thought I'd toss some out there. We'll take a look at this a little closer and show you what I've done so far. And I'm about ready to put some primer on the interior before I close it up, and just put some primer and some paint on it. And so that'll be comprising this first video, and then I'll put it together and then show you how the outside goes together, then paint that, and then maybe do one on weathering. So let's take a look at what I got. All right, here's the interior. It's not completely put together, but I've got everything in here that I'm gonna nail down, that I'm gonna paint sky gray, or it's not really a gray, it's more of a greenish, but a real light green. First I'm gonna primer it black, and I'm gonna tape off the metal flooring, and then paint the rest of it sky, do some weathering and some sponge chipping, and then I'll come back and I'll use some of my metal pigments on the flooring, and then come back and paint like the cots and the wiring and some of these other details. A lot of the radios and stuff and the seats I've got over here. This was a really complicated piece, as you can see, with a lot of photo etch. And I'm getting used to using a lot of super glue. I haven't used, typically I just use super glue for you know, a few little parts on my plastic models and as a filler. But with this, I mean, it's all got to be super glue. So I got a variety of super glues that I use, and some for like photo etch parts. And actually, this is pretty sturdy. I've dropped it a couple times and it hasn't broken. So I used stretch sprue for the rods that they indicate you gotta run through some of these parts. Like this part's supposed to attach to the roof, and I've got it like a stretch sprue that I melted the ends on. A lot of these parts over here are going to be painted a different color, like a black for all the radios and stuff. So I've got those set aside. I'll put those in after I paint the interior. But I'm going to get on with painting, and I'll come back and see you when I've got it primed and painted. I've got the interior primed. I primed it with black and then taped off the diamond plate on the bottom. I didn't tape off the diamond plate in there. It's just going to be too hard to do. What I'll do is I'll come back and just do some dry brushing on that part and paint it the same color, the same sky color as the rest of the interior. But we'll do some dry brushing, make it look nice and warm. The seat goes over that anyway, so you're not going to be able to see much of that. Then I took some white and just kind of did some highlights. That way when I spray the sky color, there's going to be a little bit of variation in the tone. So I did that in there. Got all the other pieces primed in black. The radios I did in NATO black, and then I'll do some dry brushing and some hand painting on those. Fire extinguishers, same thing. I kind of highlighted them in white. The seats, I didn't highlight these. You're not gonna be able to see much of that anyway. And that's just gonna fit in there just like that. But I'm gonna paint the seat covers black. The covers on the cot, I'll hand paint those with like a khaki. And then just a lot of hand painting. The wiring, that was all lead wire. I took out and added some wiring, didn't come with the kit. Just from the reference pictures I saw, there's a lot of wiring up in this area. So once I get it all painted, then and the radios in, then I'll connect the wires to the radios and paint all the wiring black. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna give it a color coat of this Sky XF21. It's kind of a muted green color. So I'll give it a coat of that, and then we'll start painting, and I'll probably see you after it is all painted. All right, got it all painted up. You can see there. And I've got everything installed. Now what I'm gonna do is just hit it with a little bit of wash. I'm not gonna slather it in. I'm just gonna hit the recesses to bring out some highlights, and then once that's dry, then what I'll do is put another clear coat, and I've got these little stickers, all these stickers that go on. And the instructions are great because they only show where some of them go. They make no mention of the other ones. So we're just going to hit this with a wash. Start off with the seats, and I've got just some black wash. I'm just going to dilute it really well. Just kind of give it just a little bit, and then I can wipe some of that off. And you're not going to see all this, but you'll see some of it. And kind of like with the B17 model I did, I put a lot of effort in the interior, and then once you close it up, you really can't see it. But that's kind of the way I roll, so. As you can see, I did a lot of sponge chipping. Like right along here and along the edges. No, I didn't overdo it, but I did want to give it kind of a used look. And I still have the that diamond plate floor masked off. It's got the black primer on it because I want it to. I don't want to put a clear coat on that because I want it still having a flat appearance or a flat flat coat on it. So the Ushi van der Rosten metallic pigments that I'm going to put on it will adhere to it. And this is just going to be subtle. This black wash that I'm putting on. Get some more of that in there. I like to thin this wash down so I don't have to. My brush kind of stinks. And I'm just hitting the raised details just to give a little more definition. I'm going to hit the radios. And this will give it a somewhat grimy appearance. Do it around this door. The reason I put most of this together to begin with is because I didn't want to have to super glue all these parts after they're painted. Number one, they don't stick that well. You have to do a lot of scraping. And with the fit issues with this kit, it's best to put it together and then paint it. So that's what I did. And I'll just come along with a Q-tip and do a little bit of cleanup, and then we'll be good to go. So I'll be back once this dries and I get a clear coat on it. I'll throw on some decals and then put another clear coat, and then we'll get on with the, I'll take the masking off and we'll do some pigment stuff. All right, I've got my second clear coat on it, and I've got the decals on. They were actually stickers, and you had to cut them out. And I think because the kit's so old, they didn't stick real well. So basically what I did is I coated the back with Future, stuck them on there, and then went over again with another coat of Future. So they should be on there. As you can see, I removed the masking on the floor, and I've got my Ushi Van der Rosten metal powder. It's the steel type, and we are going to put some of that on there. And this is the first time I've done such a large area, and this stuff's pretty messy. I don't want to get it everywhere, so I got a paper towel down. And a lot of times I'll just use the cap. If you've never used this stuff, it's best to rub it on with your finger, but I'm going to need to get into some tight spaces. Basically, I'll just rub this down. And it doesn't take a whole lot. This might be better if I use a brush and then rub it with my fingers. Like I said, this needs to be on a flat coat, otherwise it won't stick. And I don't put a clear coat over this. Doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't work too well with a clear coat over it. And since you're not going to be touching this anyway, because it's going to be on the inside, it's not going to matter. Some in here. I did some sponge chipping here in the driver's compartment, but I'm just kind of throwing this in there to give it more of a metallic look. like the paint's been worn away in there. But all the pictures I've seen, they don't have paint on the, this is all like the bare diamond plate. Okay. Gonna rub that around. And the more you rub it, the shinier it gets. I'm not too concerned with it being shiny, but I do want it to get that powder out of there. And then I'm going to come back with a little bit of rust-colored wash and do a little bit of wash with that. You can see how there's a difference between the black and then the metallic. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the floor in this metallic pigment, and then I'll come back and throw a little bit of wash on it and I'll show you the finished product. Here is the completed interior. See how the floor has a nice metallic finish. It's kind of dark and grimy. I've got the seats in, got the driver's seat. Not too bad. I put, like I said, the decals, they didn't, they only showed placement for like the door and over here on the end of the engine room. So I kind of put the other ones where I thought they should go. And yeah, there it is. Not too bad. I've got a gloss coat or a coat of Future on the inside because most of the pics I saw showed it was kind of glossy, but I did spray some flat coat on the mats there and then the seats. So I know the lighting's not great, but not too bad. And you're not going to be able to see a ton of it. The owner wants the back hatch open. You're going to get that view, which looks pretty cool. And based on the reference pics, that looks pretty darn close. And then, let's see, at the top. This is how the top's going to go on, kind of, sort of. So you can kind of see from the top view. Not going to be able to see a whole lot there. But then there's the driver's compartment. So that's it. Didn't take me too long, a couple days. Seemed a lot more daunting at first than what it turned out to be. So I've got some work to do. I've got to, on this roof, I've got to sand that down a little bit. And then there's a few things I need to put on here. And the reference pictures I've got showed a bunch of like hand straps that you hold on, like when you're riding a bus. I'll put those along the top here. And we should be good to go to close it up and start working on the outside. So that's it. I'll put another video together on after I get the outside done and get to priming it and painting it, and then probably a couple more videos on this one. Catch you later.